7 years old, something's going to happen. He's going to be a musician and the world will know him.
Your father gave you your first guitar. Why?
Oh, I think it was like, I'd seen the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show and it just changed my whole life. And that was really a life-changing moment for me. And I said I wanted a guitar, and and he got me a copy of Meet the Beatles and a guitar for my birthday. And I think they thought it was like some cute little thing. Oh, they're cute, the kid likes this little crazy new rock music. Look at the Beatles, those mop top. Never in a billion years thinking that here I would be sitting with you all these years later as a professional musician, having the career that I've had, and that I would actually take up this instrument, actually might get kind of good enough to make a profession and be successful doing it.
Can you describe the impact the Beatles had on the Ed Sullivan?
I don't think there's an adjective that would really. A lot of people my age, especially a lot of musicians, but just everybody was so deeply affected by that. It changed the world. I mean, people use that terminology, oh, that changed the world. That changed the whole generation in a half hour. I mean, it had more impact on me than any other thing in my life, profoundly, other than having my own children.
Can you tell? Because I think you had Elvis, but Elvis had joined.
I know I wasn't born yet.
I know, but had joined the army, came back. And what was it like, the music scene back then for you as a kid?
I was a little kid. You have to understand, like 7 years old.
7 years old, yeah.
7, 8, and then I was playing in bands when I was 9. But it was really weird. The effect that it had on me was something physiological, and then. I was struggling to try to play this thing, you know what I mean? And then one day, all of a sudden, my fingers just went boom, 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 boom. It's like, well, all of a sudden, it all made sense to me. No one ever showed me how to do it. Yeah. It was bizarre. And when my mother was pregnant with me, apparently some psychic walked up and put her hand on my mom's stomach where I was and said, it's going to be a boy, 7 years old, something's going to happen. He's going to be a musician and the world will know him. And my mom was like, what? Are you kidding me? It was 1957, man. You know what I mean? It's like, so, the idea of having a son that was a musician was like, forget it. Rock and roll wasn't even hardly born yet.
When did she tell you the story?
She told me this story when I was older. When I was like, maybe 15, 16 years old. When I really was trying, that was going to be my dream. Because I also remember hearing when I was younger, oh, you got a 1,000,000,001 chance of making it as a musician. Because I was like, I want to be a musician, I want to be famous, I want to be a rock and roller, blah, blah, blah. And, my dad was like, you got a 1,000,000,001 chance of making it. And my father was in the movie business. I mean, my family comes from show business. Nobody was a musician, but they come from the show business. They're like, oh man, you got a 1,000,000,001 chance. And my answer was like, well, somebody's got to be that guy. Somebody's got to be that one. Yeah. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So I studied, I worked hard, and I'm still studying and working hard, and I've been doing it my whole life. So my dreams kind of started to come true. They did come true,
Well, you said you got a copy of Meet the Beatles.
I went on from there.
But do you still have the copy?
No, God, do I wish I had that.
But I wrote down.
It was so stupid. I mean, I used to have great record collections, and then, I traded them in for other records. It's like the person that had like the first Fender Stratocaster or something like that. He goes, oh, I want a new one. You know what I mean? They don't really realize what they had.
So what is then the most special music relic that you have? I mean, album, guitar, what is?
Well, I have a 1959 Gibson Les Paul, Sunburst Les Paul, which is worth God knows how much. I have pictures of George Harrison playing it with me. It was on so many big hit records, Beat It by Michael Jackson, all the Toto stuff. I could go on and on and on about it. It's a real piece of musical history, and it's also, regardless of who it belonged to, me or anybody else, I mean, it'd still be a classic, really. It's the coveted holy grail of guitars. Okay. I have a lot of neat stuff like that.
You were saying George Harrison. I wrote down the track listing of Meet the Beatles. Maybe you can pick a song and you say, well, that's the song that I could play.
No, I Saw Her Standing There. I don't even have to look.
Yeah, that was yeah.
The guitar solo that George played on I Saw Her Standing There, I must have played that 1,000,000 times. To the point where it drove my parents crazy. Because that was the days you lift up the needle, and I was trying to learn how to play it. There was something about the sound of that jangly guitar, the way it hit I don't know, it just touched something so deep inside of me. It was like it awakened my spirit. And I was able to tell George this because I was friends with him later in life. And I worked with Paul as well. Paul and George Martin. I got a chance to work with all those guys, Jeff Emmerich. Yeah. It was great. I mean, to go from that dream to actually being in the room with the guys and jamming Beatles songs, it was fantastic. It was really quite a moment.